Hello. I am making this video in my car because I figure I might as well just get it done. And so this video is about drug addiction. Yep. Let's talk addiction. Okay, so not too long ago, I think it was last week, a popular actor, not gonna mention his name, died of an alleged heroin overdose. And it just seemed out of the blue that, he was committed to his craft. He was an excellent actor. Every role he took, he was like committed. He was professional. He and his career path was on the trajectory. It was good. Everything was looking good. But on the sidelines, he had a heroin addiction. So the question is, we often see heroin addiction as the worst of addictions, because it's not just psychological addiction, it's almost like becomes physical addiction. Your body morphs into needing it, so you can't just stop on your own. Your body literally will stop working right unless you feed it. So you can't just stop. You almost have to wean yourself off of it. So it's not just a psychological addiction, it's a physical addiction that happens. And so the question is, how does someone get into this place, and how do they cry out for help? And I think I almost want to say, stop using the word addiction and say drug user. But yes, it is an addiction. But once you use the word drug addiction, it's almost like our mindset runs to crackhead mindset. But we have people who are functional drug users. Yes, a functional drug user, eventually, if they continue on that route, will go downhill and become derelict and crackheadish and lose everything. Eventually, that's the route. There is no functional way to be a drug user. There's no progressive way to be a drug user. Eventually, eventually you hit rock bottom. They don't know how long it will be, but eventually, if you stay consistent in using, you will hit rock bottom. Things will start decaying. Life will start decaying. Your life can be progressively flourishing while you're actively using. That doesn't work. So anyway, now that was settled, the thing is, who is a drug user? A drug user has the same face as you and me. Yes, you watching this video. A drug user has the same face as you and me. A drug user doesn't have two horns on his head and is this evil person. No. A drug user or drug addict can be the nicest person ever. Can be a pastor, can be a lawyer, professional. Heck, I even know someone that worked in the White House who was an active drug user. So it's being a drug user does not make you an evil person. Sometimes we try to act like people who use drugs are evil people. They're the worst of all. Nope. The person your best friend may actually be a drug user without you even knowing. So maybe removing that stigma and shame can help people ask for help, can help people seek for help. When the stigma and shame is removed, like this is an evil person. No, a drug user is not an evil person. It's just someone with an issue, someone with a disease that needs help. Diabetic is not an evil person. Like you're eating too much sugar. Yes, okay, but you're not an evil person. So that mindset of seeing a drug user as the worst of the worst, maybe if that conversation changes, it can help people seek for help. Yes, I know institutional segregation has happened in the past, where white folks that have drug issues are sent to rehab, but black folks with drug issues sent to prison. Oh, they found drug paraphernalia and a black man walking down the street. He's arrested, jail time. White boy, same scenario. Oh, he goes to rehab. Especially when social status comes into it. Oh, a judge's son will never go to jail for being a drug user, but I bet you he will go to therapy. They will send him to some fancy bougie rehab place. But inner city black kid, jail. So that paradigm obviously, and then the narrative also, when you listen to the news or even the movies, the black drug user is always presented as a crackhead, as the worst of the worst. But the white drug user is seen as a professional who has a bad habit, and oh, just go to rehab and get yourself together. So if this conversation changes, maybe it can affect how people who are struggling can seek help. We all know of people, we all watch the news. We've seen people who have committed suicide and died. We've seen people who have OD'd over drug use. And you say, oh, why didn't they go seek help? Okay, if your best friend came and met you right now and told you they were struggling with a drug use, what would you say? Wouldn't you automatically condemn them? Subconsciously, implicitly condemn them? Like make it seem like, oh, just say no and stop. If it was just saying no, I'm sure they could have just stopped. Just because you have a conversation with somebody about drug use does not mean tomorrow they're not going to relapse. And if they relapse, how are you going to respond? Are you going to respond like, I told you and you relapse, so you're the worst of the worst? Now, so I'm making this video to just try to change our awareness. And I'm not suggesting that crackheads are not the worst, because a fiend will lie to you. A fiend, a drug fiend, will tell you some fantastical story just to get money from you to get high. Heck, they can rob you just to get high. Not saying that doesn't exist, but I'm not saying that's the paradigm for every drug user or every drug addict. We can't make that the paradigm for everybody. Hope this raises questions and starts a conversation.